But yeah, once these fabrications had latched hold in the student body, the harassment was unending and had moved well beyond the campus. I was stalked off campus. They wanted to know where I lived at all times. They were watching everything I posted online. After I'd become homeless, I had no source of income. I opened GoFundMes and also a crowdfunded effort for legal aid. They reviewed bombed both of them. And the gaslighting started. So, for those of you who don't know what gaslighting is basically when you deny someone their reality, when you call them crazy. It's a common tactic amongst people who are abusive people and who are abusers in relationships. What do you mean? I didn't hit you, honey. You know, you're crazy. I didn't say that. I didn't do that. I'm not cheating on you. You got to be crazy to think I'd cheat on you. I think you're schizophrenic. You're making things up and then telling everybody that, you know that you're crazy, and then people start believing that you're crazy because they don't come at them like an asshole. They come at them like they're a concerned friend. And like, I'm concerned. You know, that person's crazy. We got to help them. They're imagining that I beat the shit out of them every night. That's absurd. But that is classical narcissistic abusive behavior is right where it started. It started with my ex-girlfriend who had sexually assaulted me, and then it spread amongst my former friend group, and then it spread throughout the entire campus. And I get it even to this day after I posted the podcast on Reddit. I got messages accusing me of being schizophrenic. And the university saw it as sort of a legal defense. If we can convince people that he's schizophrenic, because my mom was schizophrenic, I just didn't get it. You know, no one will believe and listen to him, so his voice will be meaningless. And they tried really hard, and they roped my therapist on campus into this. She protected the university. She tried to dissuade me from taking legal action. She told me that I wasn't safe. She was a terrible therapist. Thankfully, and it's one of the reasons why it's so important, I have two wonderful therapists. Three, honestly, but Kevin retired. One from a rape crisis center and one from the DeKalb County Community Service Board, who have confirmed, hey, you're not crazy. You know, you're just suffering from gaslighting and abuse, and you've been through a traumatic experience. And it's okay to feel this way. And it's okay to feel crazy when everyone in the world is calling you crazy, because that's what starts to happen. Your sense of self begins to completely break down. That, coupled with being in the actual street, is what makes somebody a crazy person. And I felt that way for a while. And it took a lot of self-discovery and inner strength to overcome that. I got another private message that repeated the same defamation I've heard over and over again. By the way, it sounds like you're schizophrenic. Yeah, and I'm like, oh, you're not a random person. You're one of them, and that's what they charged me with.
You're the same person.
Yeah.
Wow. Why do they take it to that level?
That's consistent, and it's also consistent with what university personnel have treated me as, tacitly said, and then contradicting previous statements Dr. Steen said in his witness statement.
Wow.
Because what we suspect has happened, based on comments that have been made and meetings I've had with people, that Dr. Fuller over there has been telling people that I am.
Mm-hmm. Now, is Dr. Fuller is the therapist that you were seeing?
I was on campus, but she never diagnosed me with that.
Right.
But when I was having meetings with her, and I have an email to back us up, where she was trying to dissuade me from pursuing legal recourse against the university, and during the therapy session. And when I refused to, she started asking me really pointed questions, and I'm like, "There's nothing wrong with me. This is against the law."
Mm-hmm. And that's what I was wondering if there's a HIPAA violation against her, but it doesn't say. I wonder about that because. First of all, I'm like, okay, so where's she getting schizophrenia from? Like, the law labels schizophrenia, really nothing goes to schizophrenia.
Yeah.
And even if that was a conversation that you all had or that she diagnosed, it's confidential.
Right, but what I'm worried with is that it's uniform that they all say it. And she started asking pointed questions about my reality. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, but here I have this message. This is like what it actually says. And she would get really upset if she was representing the university, not me. Yeah. And there's an email where she's like, since you have filed against the university, we can no longer talk about that during our session.
The hell are you going to talk about then? That's the whole point of you being there.
Yeah, I know. But there was a lot of that. And Steen in multiple meetings said, well, it's good that you have Dr. Fuller on your side, when I thought that she was. Because that's really important. And then he started mentioning things in some of his email responses. He was like, I hope you're on meds. People would always ask.
So playing up this diagnosis and your need for psychiatric help.
People kept doing that. My Title IX advisor would always ask me the first thing, have you seen your therapist lately? Wow. Other professors, while I was still there, would ask, are you seeing a therapist? Wow. Constantly I would be. Yeah. And then one of the breaking moments, the reason why I took the medical withdrawal, everyone lost their shit, was when I submitted your letter and Mika's letter to the professors, not just to the accessibility people so everyone could see it. Everybody freaked out because it wasn't the diagnosis, and one of them came from a rape crisis center, which sort of tacitly proves that the sexual assault had happened.
Right.
And
it's like, I have two therapists, thank you. Yeah,
and they lost their shit. That is like, everyone went apeshit.
Yeah.
Steam became aggressive immediately.
Have you heard anything from him or throughout this and you publishing the podcast?
No. He didn't respond when I reached out to him and any of that. So.
And that's pretty expected. A whole Twilight Zone.
Yeah.
The whole Twilight Zone.
When Kevin was here, he would often quote Twilight Zone, the actual show, because I watched it when I was growing up. He used to watch it back then. Yeah.
Well, I just remember the guy in his strange voice. This is an episode.
I've drawn a blank. I can't think of his name. I just recently watched an interview with him where he was talking about how and why they wrote Twilight Zone. It was by the BBC because it was being syndicated on the BBC at the time.
Okay.
I cannot think of his name. He died of lung cancer. Anyway, Kevin would constantly harken back to Twilight Zone because there's multiple episodes about a person who ends up in a community that's hostile. And multiple episodes where everyone calls the person crazy, but we, the viewer, know they're not.
Right.
And like the most famous one is the airplane episode that has guy who played Captain Kirk, William Shatner. Okay. William Shatner's television debut was an episode of The Twilight Zone back in black and white, and it's a great episode. William Shatner's sitting in an airplane, and he's got the window seat, and he doesn't like flying. Yeah. He makes that clear, no one will move him. And then he looks over, and there's a gremlin, like a demon on the wing of the airplane, mocking him. And every time he calls someone over, they don't see it. It's not there. Yeah. And it keeps getting worse and worse, and eventually he's tearing out the engine, and he's the only person who sees it, and no one will listen to him. Yeah. Yeah.
It's like the Twilight.
Yeah. For sure. Except for I documented it. See, in the 21st century, you just take your cell phone and go.
You can take
the whole thing's kind of busted from the get-go.
Exactly. When you have a conversation, you can record the conversation with the gremlin.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what you've been doing too. Conversations with the damn gremlin.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love it.
So it doesn't work anymore. And again, there's other episodes that are like that. They're too numerous to sort of articulate.
I love the flow of the podcast, and I love because it sounds like you were really articulate in the things that you said and bringing justice to the situation and bringing a voice and reason to it. Total opposite to all of the BS that they put out there.
Yeah.
Right? Like I said, we've got this tool, and it's more powerful than a gun any day.
Yeah.
You know, if you were a shooter is not going to say that.
Yeah.
You would totally be saying opposite.
Yeah.
But it's like you spoke of a man that is sane, has his shit together. You know what I mean? And someone who was a victim.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was listening and everything. And I was like, oh, so that's so, like, opposite of them thinking like he's the shooter, huh? He's saying like information and all of this and technology is a greater tool and using your voice is a greater tool than shooting. Look at that.
I was facing from gaslighting. The university completely flipped its shit. And then when I showed the documentation to my professors after missing a lot of work in class, dealing with the Title IX's lawsuit, being constantly threatened and harassed and stalked, to the point where I was hiding in another university. I was hiding in Emory's library, turning in work remotely. Everyone was okay with it. They gave me every leniency in the world because the faculty is amazing. The moment that I submitted the paperwork proving my side of the story, everybody freaked out. Suddenly I couldn't make up work anymore. Suddenly I was being threatened by the provost about how I was talking to people. It was very, very curious, you know. And the faculty's not completely without guilt here, because they repeated some of the defamation as if it were true. They didn't go out and seek any of the truth, and while they were nice to me, I just came up in class, you know. One of the things that were said about me by students were crazy. The girl who sexually assaulted me was white. My actual major was East Asian Studies with a focus in Japanese, and I took a year of Chinese too. My honors thesis is on Japan during World War II. So naturally, they spread a rumor around campus that I had an Asian fetish. My ex-girlfriend was white. What the shit? But yeah, they latched onto this, and one of the things that I was getting from the university is there was Asian students on campus from China, from Japan, from Korea, and I was getting real language exchange from them, which is almost necessary if you want to increase your fluency. So helpful. And that was targeted. Again, the students are not stupid, even if they're dumb. So they got together in a room, not kidding you. One of the students informed me about this. And they were like, we'll make it, if Zach won't leave, we'll make it so that his academic health on campus is ruined by removing his ability to interact with the Asian students and get any language from them. So what would they hate the most? At this university, they'd hate that a white guy has an Asian fetish. So we'll just tell everybody that he does. And that came up a ton. But again, you know what's hilarious is my girlfriend's Asian now. I joked to her about this. She thinks it's funny. But at the time, I was dating a white girl. And then I dated a white girl after that too. Before my ex-fiance was white. I don't get that. And then I had a long-term relationship with a black girl. I don't know. It's something that was so easy to prove. But you know, again, anything when you're Mr. Bad Guy, when you're the whipping boy, it sticks. And that's just the lowest thing. The big thing was that he's crazy, and crazy and potentially violent was one of the things they tried to get me on. So they called me in like an active shooter. Thankfully, the head of security on campus, he was a good guy and still is. I wish he would do more, but his hands were tied by the administration, who specifically is like, you will lose your job if you do more. So I get it. I get his position sucks. But the only reason why I'm probably even still alive today is because he treated this really well. He was like, are you on campus right now? I happen not to be. As a part of, to deal with the defamation, because they claimed I was stalking people, they claimed I was harassing people, they claimed I was trying to rape people. They did all of that after I had accused someone else of rape. They threw it all back on me, and because I'm a guy, it was more easily believable. Knowing this would happen, one, as I had said before in the podcast, I began recording myself every single day, just mic always on. Two, I turned, against everything I know in IT security, I turned every protection on my phone off. So it constantly tracked my movements. And I backed up my Google user data. And if you do that, you can actually go into Google Maps and it'll show you where you're like walking every day. It's terrible. It also sort of implies that that data is always kept, you know? So there's the privacy violation there. But there's tons of articles right now. I've written about that professionally. You can go find more information about that somewhere else. It was actually beneficial in this instance. I turned that on so I could prove where I was in any period of time. So anytime, and this happened multiple times, Hall and Palder, mostly Hall, would call me in, hey, are you stalking people? I'm like, here's where I was. Tell me when and where. I did that in front of my academic advisor. It's how I, at least at the time, got him on my side, because I was able to prove that I was nowhere near where they said I was. And in this instance, it was useful too. Not only did I do that, I kept a routine. There was a bar in the adjacent shopping center that was empty during the day, and then a very nice tabletop, and they had outlets underneath the bar. And I could do schoolwork there, and most of the students didn't go there. Like, they'd come occasionally on Friday night. They actually didn't come there very often. Mostly business people went there. Got to know the people who worked there really well, and did not have the money to buy any food or drink a lot of the time, so I was infamous for being a soda drinker. And I just don't like that stuff anyway. Oh, that reminds me, they also accused me of being an alcoholic. Very weird. So the other part of my racial background is that I'm 1/4 Muskogee, and I know what you're going to say. A lot of white people say that. I am, and with it comes all the baggage of alcoholism, which is there, and the military background that my family is a part of sort of incorporates that. So I don't like to drink that much. I like going to social places like bars a lot, but I'll sip on my one Jack and Coke for the rest of the evening, you know. And the students know that, because I'd make drinks for the students who were of age. And they'd be like, where's your drink, Zach? And I'm like, you know what? Soda's nice. So they knew that wasn't true. But I did spend a lot of my time in a bar in this instance, and it was useful because I'd gotten to know the people who worked there well enough that they could vouch for me being there, and there was 2 functional security cameras that could record where I was in any period of time. In this instance, it was key because I happened to be there at the time, and you know, the director of security emails me and is like, where are you right now? And I'm like, I'm at the bar. You know, I'm within walking distance of the school, but I've been here for hours in between classes working on stuff in between 2 security cameras, and I recorded where I am, and you know this already, so what's up? And he's like, that's what I thought. I need you to come in, tell me if you have a gun on you. I'd come in, and a lawyer would hate me for saying this. I actually said, you know, yeah, sure, you can search me. And he's like, you know what? I don't really even have to. Here's what's going on. They have accused you of having a gun and going to shoot up the school. Protocol says I should call the cops. What should have happened is I should have been swatted, is what they call it. What should have happened is that Brookhaven PD would come with fury. They would have had their SWAT-trained units come in. I would have absolutely no idea what was going on had I been on campus. And they probably would. The situation could have easily escalated into an accidental shooting. I could have put my backpack down wrong, could have pulled out my cell phone. Hey, let me get my cell phone. He's going for a gun in his breast pocket. I could have died. And that's what they wanted. And no one was punished for it.